Devo, let us chant the first 10 verses of chapter 11. Arjuna Uvacha Matanugrahaya Paramam Guhyamadhyatma Sangitam Yatvayoktam Vachastena Ohoyam Vigato Mama Bhavapyayau hi bhutanam Shrutau vistarasho maya Pathak kamala patraksha Mahatmyam api chavyayam Yeva me tadhyatattvam Atmanam parameshvara Drashtumichhami te rupam Aishvaram purushottama Manyase yadi tachakyam Maya drashtumiti prabho Yogeshvara tato me tvam Darshayatmanamavyayam Shri Bhagavan Pashya me partharupani Shatashota sahasrashaha Nana vidhani divyani Nana varna kriti nicha Pashyadityan vasun rudran Ashvinau marutas Bahunyadrashtabhurvani Pashyascharyaani bharata Ihaikastam jagat kritsnam Pashyadhya sacharacharam Mama dehe gudakesha Yachan yadrashtumichasi Natu mam shakyase drashtum Anenaiva svachakshusha Divyam dadami che chakshuhu Pashyame yogamaishvaram Sanjaya uvacha Yeva mukva tato rajan Mahayogeshvaro harihi Darshayamasa pathaya Paramam Rupamaishwaram Anekavakranayanam Anekadbhuta darshanam Anekadivyabharanam Divyanekodhyatayudham
Do we have the clarifications, Venkat? Clarification by Shrima. In one of the lectures, you said it is impossible to make the snake understand it is the rope because the snake never existed. But we are doing the same thing. If the jiva never existed, how can it become Brahman? So the clarification is, in one of the lectures, you said it is impossible to make the snake understand it is the rope because the snake never existed. But we are doing the same thing. If the jiva never existed, how can it become Brahman? So, in the explanation of the rope and the snake, it is said that how much ever you tell the snake, that you don't exist, you don't exist, you don't exist, you are not there, you are not there, you are not there. It is impossible to accept. You tell the jiva that you are not there is very difficult to accept. Now, how to understand this? To understand this, we need to be clear on the concept of Brahman. Actually, we shouldn't be saying concept of Brahman. We should be saying Brahman can be viewed from two different standpoints. God, Brahman, can be viewed from two different standpoints. One standpoint is the Swarupa, the essential nature of Brahman, the essential Swarupa of Brahman, which is Sachetananda, Advayam, Brahma, Nirguno, Nishkriyo, etc. That is the essential Swarupam, that is the essential nature of Brahman. That is one level of understanding Brahman. Another level of understanding Brahman is the same Brahman becomes the same Brahman becomes the cause for creation, as it were. One is the Nirguna Nishkriya Brahman. Another is the Jagat Karana Brahman. So God is always, in Vedanta, we alternatively talk about Brahman from these two standpoints. From one standpoint, it is Nirguna Nishkriya. Nirguna Nishkriya means doesn't do, no attributes, no qualities, no actions. From another angle, there is the Jagat. Jagat Karana. Jagat Karana means, if you remember in chapter 7, chapter 9, we spoke about the cause, the material cause, all that, whatever we have spoken till now. Now, the Nishkriya Brahman can never, the Nirguna Nishkriya Brahman can never be a cause for creation at all. It is not possible. If you take only the Nirguna Nishkriya Brahman as the real, then the Jagat Karana Brahman becomes completely wrong. If you take the Jagat Karana Brahman, then the Nirguna Nishkriya Brahman becomes completely wrong. It means we have to take one and negate the other. Now you can't take one and negate the other because Krishna is alternating between the two. The Upanishad is alternating between the two. So what do? We come in with a understanding of how do we reconcile both. Whatever is the order of reality of the world, this is the law. This is the law of creation, the logic of creation. Whatever is the order of reality of the world, the same should be the order of the reality of the power that creates it. Again, I repeat. Whatever is the order of reality of the world, the same should be the order of reality of the power that creates it. Meaning, the created cannot have anything other than that of the creation. So the created can never have anything separate from the creation. That is why in the rope and snake example, we always say all the attributes of the rope is faithfully represented in the snake because of this law. What is the law? Whatever is order of reality of the world, the same should be the order of reality of the power that creates it. A gold, the ornament that comes out of gold can never be anything other than the gold. The pot that comes out of the clay can never have any other material other than the clay. Similarly, the order of reality of the world, if we look at it, the world shows us two irreconcilable attributes it shows. Now we are analyzing the creation now. Now we leave the row, now we leave the snake, the pot, the ornaments and all we leave behind and we look at the Jagat, the creation. Now, if we look at the creation itself seems to be a combination of two factors that can never be combined. What are the two factors that can never be combined? On one part of the world, if you analyze everything about the Jagat is Mithya. Everything about the Jagat is Mithya is one understanding you develop if you analyze the world completely. Now, this is a fact that cannot be disputed, that it is Mithya. Now, Mithya means, we have said it any number of times, Mithya should be understand it as temporary. Even though we say unreal, even the unreal should be understood it as temporary. Even though linguistically we keep saying real, unreal, real, unreal, real, unreal. Actually, the word unreal in the classic Vedantic sense has to be understood as temporary. Therefore, if we analyze the world, it is very clear that all aspect of the world is Mithya. Extending this logic, it means there has to be some Mithyatvam has to be there in the Raj, in the original, because it is already established that whatever the product is a faithful representation of the original. It means some Mithyatvam is there in Brahman. So what does that mean? That Brahman with the Mithyatvam combination creates that Brahman with the Mithyatvam combination creates the Jagat. And Jiva is an essential part of the Jagat. So from Jagat, we come down to Jiva now. Jiva means the individual. Now, what is the individual? The individual also has the combination of the two. If Jagat is going to have the combination of the two, Jiva is also going to have the combination of the two. Now, in Jagat, we saw of the two, one we saw. What is that one we saw? How everything in the Jagat is Mithyam. Everything in the Jagat is Mithyam can be understood by, carefully follow now. This is where Vedanta starts. Mithyatvam of the world can be understood by Pratyaksha Pramanam and Anumana Pramanam. You don't need Shastra to come and tell you that world is temporary. All that you need to do is what? If you just open your eyes and see the world rightly, you will understand that it is temporary. Are you okay till now? This is where the logic of Vedanta is so beautiful that you can never escape. Somewhere, something is not, some transformation is not happening is what we can see. But the logic is something that you feel like saying, you people are all very wicked and vicious. We feel like only saying that and moving away. So, he's saying, the world is temporary, doesn't need a Shastra Pramana. The world is temporary, can be understood by Pratyaksha and Anumana itself. By Pratyaksham and Anumanam, Pratyaksha means direct perception and inference. By direct perception and inference itself, it can be understood that everything of the world is temporary, moving, changing, nothing is permanent, etc. Now, you don't need Shastra. Carefully follow. We have seen it in some other session. I think in Atma Bodha we did that. What one Pramanam proves, another Pramanam need not come and talk about it again. If one Pramana can teach you one thing, another Pramanam need not come and teach the same thing again. That is, then the secondary Pramanam is redundant there. If eyes can teach you color and form, nose need not come and teach you color and form again. Because If one pramanam has taught you that, that itself is enough. Knowledge has come. Therefore, what is the pratyaksha pramanam and anumana pramanam teaches us? It is temporary. Logically, if you take it now you extend this logic. If everything is temporary, then the temporariness becomes the satyam. The temporary nature becomes satyam then. This is where Vedanta starts and says, wait. Now you are stretching it too much. What is the stretch that you are doing it? The mithyatvam to exist needs a satyam. For mithyam to exist, a invisible satyam is required. That invisible satyam supports the mithyam. The unmoving axle supports the moving wheel. So the invisible supports the visible. Now the invisible supporting the visible, pramanam is what now? Not the pratyaksha and anumana. Shastra becomes a pramanam. The Vedas, Upanishads becomes the pramanam. Like when we say the Vedas, Upanishads, Vedanta, Guru, all are used very synonymously here. They become the pramanam for this. If the properties of the snake is so much connected to the properties of the rope, mithyatvam has no separate existence from Brahman. And that Brahman splits itself into two, as it were, the Jagat and the Jiva. The Brahman splits itself into two, as it were, Jagat and the Jiva. Now, Jiva is what now? From all this, what is Jiva now? Brahman conditioned by Maya. What is the definition of the Jiva that we get now? Are you able to follow? Yes. The derivation? Now, what is Jiva now? Jiva is Brahman conditioned by Maya. So, there is no Jiva having any independent status other than Brahman. And Maya also, Mithyatvam is also has to be an integral part of Brahman. Therefore, what is Jiva now? A unique combination of Brahman plus Mithya equals Jiva. This is Vedanta now. This is the Shastra Pramanam now. It comes and says, when you see it from your Pratyaksha Anumana Pramanam, which is the Jiva's Pramanam, which is a Jiva standard, you can never understand that. Jiva can never understand. Jiva equals conditioned. Maya, Brahman conditioned by Maya. The Jiva can never understand as long as it keeps the Pramanam of Pratyaksha Anumana. If you shift the Pramanam from Pratyaksha Anumana to Shastra, Jiva becomes what? Jiva is nothing but Brahman conditioned Brahman. Conditioned Brahman. It means there is nothing other than Brahman. There is this conditioning. There is this Maya. The Jiva, which is under the influence of the Maya, assumes that it has a separate existence, assumes that it has a separate identity, it has a separate existence. That's why we said, in a very explanatory way, we said, the snake can assume, the wave can assume that it has a separate existence. The wave is assuming that it has a separate existence. The pot is assuming that it has a separate existence. The ornament is assuming that it has a separate existence. It cannot be, the separate existence cannot be denied using the Pratyaksha Pramanam as a standard. It cannot be denied. If you bring in the vision of the Vedantic vision, the Shastra Pramanam vision, if you bring in and look at it, you understand what? Jiva doesn't have any independent status at all. Then what is Jiva? Simple. Jiva is nothing but conditioned Brahman. Instead of using conditioned Brahman, the more familiar word that we use is conditioned consciousness, pure consciousness. So Jiva is conditioned consciousness. Conditioned by what? By Maya or Mithya. I'm using Maya, Mithya and all very synonymously here. So what is Jiva? Jiva is nothing but conditioned consciousness, conditioned by its own Maya nature. The Maya nature doesn't come outside of Brahman. The Maya, the Mithyatvam is part of the Brahman. Mithyatvam is part of Brahman. How do you accept that? The ornament that is made of gold cannot have anything other than gold. The pot that is made of clay cannot have anything other than the clay. That is why this pot, clay, gold ornament example, the wave and the ocean, we keep repeating these examples again and again to a point of almost it looks to the point of absurdity. We keep repeating the same examples. Why? Because it conveys it so beautifully. Now, Jiva is the conditioned Brahman. And what is the role of knowledge here? Knowledge is not doing anything to remove. Knowledge is simply revealing knowledge. Shastra comes and reveals to Jiva what? The pot is believing that it has a separate identity. What is the knowledge that it gets revealed to the pot? You are clay before, you are clay now, you will be clay after. Before the pot, you are the clay. During the pot, you are the clay. After the pot, you will become the clay. Beautiful in chapter 4, he says, I know the past, I know the present, I know the future, Arjuna. You don't know, he says. I know the past, I know the present, I know the future. You don't know, Arjuna. What is the past, present, and future of the pot? Yes. What is the past of the pot? Clay. What is the present of the pot? The clay. What is the future of the pot? The clay. So what does knowledge do now? Knowledge reveals. What does it reveal? It says the sense of individuality, the jivatvam that you assume, that you think you are, not assume. The jivatvam that you believe that you have is nothing but Brahman only. So Jiva is Mithya plus Brahman. Without, if you take away the Mithya, what happens? Brahman equals Brahman. You're able to follow now? Jiva equals Mithya plus Brahman. If you take away the Mithya, Brahman equals Brahman. That is where beautifully in the Brihadaranyaka, which is like the very famous oft-quoted example is the pot space and the total space. Brihadaranyaka gives this example. Ghatakasha, and Ghatakasha means the pot, the pot space, versus Akasha, the total. Actually, there is no total space. Space which seems to be conditioned by the pot. Now, the pot which is assuming an individual. Now, the pot that has assumed an individuality, the ornament that has assumed an individuality, that is called Jiva. Now, what is knowledge coming and telling the Jiva repeatedly? You thinking that you have an independent status from the divine is avidya. You thinking that you have an independent status from the divine is ignorance. You can call it avidya, you can call it delude, you can call it moha. Moha, avidya are all one and the same. So it comes and says it is your avidya. Because of avidya, you are assuming that as a jiva, you have a separate independent status other than the divine. Because of mithya, you assume that you are enlivened, you are supported. You are not enlivened by Brahman. You are Brahman temporarily assuming the jivatvam. That jivatvam, what is the knowledge? Now, where does knowledge and teaching and Vedanta comes in? The jivatvam is mithya, is the knowledge. It is not to confer brahmatvam. Because Vedanta cannot tell you, Vedanta is not going to come and confer brahmatvam, because that is our original. If we say that is our original intrinsic nature, knowledge is not conferring it. Then what is knowledge doing? The jivatvam is mithya. Jivatvam is mithya. What is jivatvam? A sense of individual identity. That is jiva. What is the sense of individual identity? Carefully follow. Jiva is the sense of individual identity, distinct and different from divine. That's jiva. That I am separate from divine is jiva. The moment you say you are separate from jiva, you are separate from divine, you will take up a body, mind, intellect, depending upon the whatever. We are not getting into those details now. What is jiva? Jiva means a misunderstanding that I am distinct and different from divine. Vedanta comes and says this notion that you are carrying is wrong. This notion that you are carrying is wrong. It goes on hammering it again and again and again. Therefore, what is the actual education now? We are telling Vedanta is teaching us. What is Vedanta teaching us? Don't worry about becoming the divine and all. Don't worry about when will I become divine, when will I become Brahman and all. You need not worry. All that you have to do is what? The courage to say, I am not this jiva. That's all. Have the courage to drop the jivatvam. You need not do anything to become. You need not do anything to become divine. Why? Because it is there. It's there already. Now, if it is there already, you need not do anything to become it. If it is there already, then why am I not knowing it? That is the next question. If it is there already, why am I not knowing it? For which, what is the answer? Vedanta will turn back. The Guru will look at you and ask, find out who is saying that. Find out who is saying. If it is that, find out who is saying I am not yet knowing the divine. Can Brahman say I don't know me? No. Then who is saying is the mithya part is saying that. So all that you got to do is what? Remove the mithya part. So what knowledge comes and does? If I am Brahman already, I should be knowing it now. No. In the discussion of Gargi and Yajnavalkya, See, we all know the discussion so many times in these classes. We have quoted the conversation of Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi. Yeah. See, there is another extraordinary conversation. See, at least Maitreyi and Gargi, we talk about, Maitreyi and Yajnavalkya, we talk about a lot because it is Guru Sishya Samvada it is. So we refer that a lot. The Yajnavalkya Gargi Samvada, the discussion is not a Guru Sishya discussion. It is the discussion between two enlightened people. That's why we never talk about that at all. Yajnavalkya comes, Gargi, the lady, asks a few questions, and Yajnavalkya answers those questions. That is a beautiful. In that discussion, Yajnavalkya and Gargi thing, he says, who is saying, I don't understand that I am Brahman? The Mithyatvam, which can never ever, which is having the wrong pramanam, which is having conviction in the wrong pramanam, is saying that. Again, who is saying that I don't know Brahman? The entity that is having a conviction in the wrong pramanam. Jiva means it will necessarily has to go by Pratyaksha Anumana. That's why in Vedanta we talk about this logic, reason, analysis, because it is based on a pramanam. Pramanam means the authoritative source of the authoritative source of knowledge, the complete source of knowledge. Pramanam means the complete source, authoritative source. Color and form, eye is the authoritative source. For sound, ear is the authoritative source. In fact, you should say only authoritative source or the only source. So for Jiva, which is saying, the Jiva, which is saying, I don't understand that I am Brahman, is depend. What is the pramanam that it is convinced about, that it is making the statement? Pratyaksha and Anumana. Pratyaksha, Anumanam, etc. All that. Other than the Shastra. So Krishna, Bhagavad Gita, we have quoted this any number of times. Tasmat Shastram Pramanam Te. When the Shastra becomes the Pramanam, and what does the Shastra Pramanam says? Shastra doesn't say, I am going to make you Brahman. If Shastra says, I am going to make you Brahman, the Guru will laugh at it and say, find out, that person doesn't know what he is saying. Because who can make you Brahman? Come to me, I will make you enlightened. No. Come to me, I will give you the knowledge that you will understand that you are enlightened already, always. I am not going to make you enlightened. You come to me, you will understand what? You are enlightened always. It means what? Even when the snake even when the snake is there, in reality, there is no snake. Even when the dream is happening, in reality, there's no dream. Similarly, when the Jiva is sitting and experiencing, listening to this Vedanta class, what is happening? It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. So, what is the understanding here? An inherent power that has the same degree of reality as the Jagat. I'm repeating the basic formula from which we develop all this edifice of arguments. What is it? The power that has the same degree of reality as the Jagat. Anything from this creation that we make is taken from where? It's taken from here only. That's why in the Saundarya Lahari, Shankaracharya, after giving all the explanation, everything, what am I praising? He asks. What am I praising? Taking the water from ocean and offering the water back to ocean, he says. The water is taken from the ocean and then he's saying, I am offering it to you. Does it make any sense? No. It means the Jagat is Mithya and the Mithyatvam is very clearly established. Mayam tu prakritihi vidyat, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram. The Shruti Pramanam this is. Mayam tu prakriti vidya, Mayinam tu Maheshwaram is the Shruti Pramanam. Shvetashvatara Upanishad talks about it in chapter 4. There is so many Upanishads. One such Upanishad is the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, which talks about it by saying, Brahman is, Maheshwara is nothing but Maya Sahitam Brahma. So what is Jiva? Maya Sahitam Brahma. In English, it is translated as conditioned consciousness. In English, it is translated as conditioned consciousness. Why it is translated as conditioned consciousness in English? Because what is Brahman? Prajnanam Brahma. What is Brahman? The Mahavakya has said this very clearly. Prajnanam Brahma. So it means, how do you account for the Jiva now? Conditioned Prajnanam, you have to say. Jiva is Maya Sahitam Brahma. And that Maya is also an integral part of Maya doesn't exist separate from Brahman. Maya is also an integral part of Brahman. Such an elaborate, confusing explanation has to be given. Is it okay, Srima? Okay, so we should not immediately move on to the next next question. Yeah, we'll take up the next clarification. Yes. Is okay, Noma, Srima? We'll call her Srima only. She is mother for all of us.
So, the verse 4, chapter 11.
Clarification, verse number 4, chapter 11. Yes.
So, last class you were saying that bhakti is the medicine for Dvesha. Because Dvesha is the disease and bhakti is the solution for that. So, the question is, if the disease is I and mine, and the symptoms are the 6, and the I and mine was elaborated as I am the center. To get rid of that, I am the center, use the formula after you. And after you was explained as no competition, no fight, I won't tread over the other. Now the problem is, if I'm going to faithfully follow what you are saying, I have my own doubts. I have this notion that even if I don't want to tread on the other, I will be treaded over by the other person. How should I remove this notion? That if I'm following the Shastra, then the other person should not tread over me. I have this notion. How will I remove this notion?
Yeah.
And is it okay if I let the other person tread over me?
Yeah. I'll explain the question.
Or
Yeah.
there is no such
There's
thing
a
as,
lot of preamble to the question. I'll repeat the question.
or
Yes.
there is no such thing as treading over at all, or it's the notion.
Yeah.
If the notion is there, then how to remove the notion and convince myself that there's no such thing as treading over?
Yes. Bhakti reference what we spoke about Bhakti in the previous session. Bhakti is the medicine for dvesha. How Bhakti becomes the medicine for dvesha? In Bhakti, you understand everything is divine. In Bhakti, you understand everything as divine, which is the Vibhuti Yoga, etc. Now, the question is this. Practice of Bhakti is after you. What is practice of Bhakti? After you is the practice of Bhakti. Question is coming from this state now. First clarification. By mistake, if I assume what you are saying is right after you and start following it, others will not the other tread over me. Is there a possibility like that? Clarification number 1. Or if I am following after you said by the Shastra, will it protect me from others treading over me? Correct? That is the second clarification. Third clarification. Is there a thing called treading over at all in the first place, or is it my imagination? Is the third question. What is the answer? The third is the answer. There is no treading over at all. It is simply an imagination. Now we'll explain that. The answer is the third is the answer. There is no such thing called treading over at all. It is simply an imaginary notion. The ways of the world and the way of getting out of the world will be diametrically opposite. The way of the world, meaning what is practical and what has to be done in the world, and what you do to get out of the world now has to be diametrically opposite. Are you able to follow? Only if it is diametrically opposite, you can get out of it. If you are doing the same thing, which is of the way of the world, you will be caught up in the world more and more and more, and you will never get out of it. It means we have to get out of the world. The way to get out of the world must be diametrically opposite than the ways of the world. Are you okay? The formula? If you say, in the world, if I say after you, you will never get out of the, you keep saying in the road, after you, no, you can never ever get out of the road, isn't it? So it means that I will be treaded over. I am used as a doormat, sir. I am used as a doormat. I am being treaded over. You follow? All these notions are perfectly correct as long as you want to do something in the world and you want to achieve something in the world, and you will be bound by the consequences of it. You want to achieve something in the world, you have to, if you want to achieve something in the world, the early bird catches the best worm, isn't it? Early bird. So in the ways of the world is you have to, the way of the world is you have to tread over. The way to your original nature is what? Move aside. Move aside. Are you able to follow? Now, what is moving aside means? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives a very beautiful story. I have said this story sometime back also in this classroom, I guess. The crow found a dead rat and picked up the dead rat. The moment it picked up the dead rat, what it started experiencing? It picked up the dead rat. What it started to experience? The other crows started chasing it, fighting it, pecking on it, hurting it, etc. Suddenly the crow started thinking, why all these people are doing, why all my fellow crows are doing this to me when none of it has happened till now? Are you able to follow? The crow started thinking. It was flying and thinking, trying to. Now, what the crow was trying to do? Two things. It is trying to hold on to the dead rat and trying to escape the other crows. In that confusion, it started thinking also. In that confusion of thinking and all this, by mistake, it dropped the dead rat. The moment it dropped the dead rat, what happened? What happened? All the crows started moving towards the dead rat, and this crow is left behind. From this, the crow understood one thing. What? Chase will happen as long as I'm holding on to the dead rat. Are you able to follow? Other crows will tread over me as long as I am having something which everybody is competing for. You follow? The moment I drop the dead rat, for which others are competing for, what will happen? You become free. Not only you become free, you will also understand the foolishness of the crow, other crows chasing the dead rat. You follow what I'm saying? Now, what is treading over means? Now, you hold on to something that is meaningful and valuable to you, and that which is meaningful and valuable to you also is meaningful and valuable to somebody else. Therefore, what happens? You are holding on to it, or you are wanting it, the other is also wanting it. Now, you can't say you have half, I have half. We can't say that, isn't it? You have it in the morning, I'll have it in the afternoon. You can't say that either. Therefore, what happens? Therefore, what happens? If you want it, how you want it? You want to own it, possess it, exclusivity. So what is the fight for? Exclusivity is the fight for. So so when somebody is treading over somebody else, what are they fighting for? Something they are interested in, which they are holding on to, which is so meaningful to them, which the other is also interested. Are you okay till now? This other getting interested in the same thing that you have is what the manifestation of symptoms as Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya, Dvesha, etc. Are you able to connect now? Where is the 6 coming from? The 6 comes from the notion that you want to exclusively possess and hold on to something which the other is also interested in the very same thing. As long as the other is not interested in the very same thing, after you, we are all saints only, isn't it? After you, we will say. Why? Because they have not come to that which is, they have not come and touched that which I want to exclusively possess. When I want to exclusively possess something, natural consequence of it will be the notion of friction, race. In that race, somebody will tread over you, or you can't say in the running race. How can you say after you? Olympic final, the gun is shot, everybody has to run, isn't it? There you can't stand up and say, okay, you all run, I will after you. It looks like insane there. That's why the Vedantic method of saying after you is very good to hear, but almost impossible to practice it because it looks like The beneficiary is somebody else. After you means what? The beneficiary is somebody else is the beneficiary. Sir, what is it, sir? I am not the beneficiary itself is very, very hurting. When somebody else becomes the beneficiary, stomach burning, isn't it? Are you able to follow?
Yes.
Now, it's a notion. There is nobody treading over anybody. Or treading over happens only when your focus is on something which the other is also wanting. Are you able to follow? How will you drop it? How will you drop the dead rat? The crow dropped it easily, isn't it? How do we drop it? How do we drop it? So many things in the past I wanted exclusively. Of the 10 things that I wanted exclusively in the past, 7, 8 things I got. Thus, having that 7, 8 things made me 70, 80% contented. Ramatirtha, 99 Club, isn't it? Irrespective of what I have or what I don't have, I'm always being part of that 99 Club. Because of me having this wrong notion that I always feel a sense of competition. So it is a sense of competition which is ignorance. Upanishad comes and says, Purnam. Upanishad says, Purnam, abundance. Abundance. That's why we always say, you can look at life in 2 ways. Life is limited resources or life is abundance. If you look at life as the phenomena of limited resources, after you is impossible. If you look at life as abundance, is our Upanishad. If you look at life as abundance, you'll say, go, take. How much ever you all want to take, take. Because it's a vast ocean there. How much can you take? Everybody is rushing with, the spoon. Everybody is rushing with the spoon to the ocean to take the spoon of water. What will you do looking at the drama? You stand apart and say, take. How many spoons can you take? How many spoons will you take? And how much ever you take, what is left behind is abundance. Are you able to follow? That is one way of understanding. This is one angle to it. Another angle to it is Vibhuti Yoga Darshana, the vision of the Vibhuti Yoga. If everything is divine, who is treading over me? If everything is divine, who's treading over? It is divine that is treading over. So what do? The ego take one step back and says, there is nobody that is treading. It is divine. So you can see it from that angle also. Vibhuti Yoga angle also you can take the angle of abundance also. Are you able to follow? Or you can combine both. You get a understand. So, will anybody, if I say after you, will I be used as the doormat? Impossible. Because when you say after you, you become the king. See, when you say after you, you become the king. The king cannot be used as the doormat. The moment you say, the moment you say after you, you become the king. But sir, in reality, it doesn't appear like that. No, because we have not genuinely said after you. We have not genuinely said after you. As I am saying after you, I am holding on to something also. The moment you say genuinely after you, you become the king. Hrishchate Lakshmiischa Patniyau. Purusha Suktam, Vedic mantra, Purusha Suktam. Hrishchate Lakshmiischa Patniyau. Where is the treading over? Who can tread over? Who can tread over the king? The king is consciously staying in disguise, enjoying the show. That is possible. But nobody can tread over the king. Are you able to follow? The moment you genuinely say after you, can anybody tread over you? No, you cannot. Nobody has the power to tread over. Selfishness doesn't have the power to override unselfishness. This is the law of karma. Again, I repeat, selfishness doesn't have the power to upset unselfishness. It's the law of karma. Are you able to follow that? If selfishness can upset unselfishness, then what is more powerful then? It's against the law. Are you able to follow? Even from this angle, if you understand, selfishness can never ever have the power to upset unselfishness. That's why Swamiji in all the lectures, he keeps on saying, a selfish person can never be happy, an unselfish person can never be unhappy. It's a law. The law based on the karma. The law, we say it is a law based on what? It is based on the law of karma. What is the law of karma says? Selfishness doesn't have the power to upset unselfishness. Are you able to follow? So, how do you understand that? If you become genuinely unselfish. But, carefully follow. But means people in the world pretend to be unselfish, but genuinely not unselfish. It's a pretension. And law of karma will not get cheated by our pretense. Another human being may get cheated. I can cheat another human being by putting up an act of being a very holy person, but I can never ever cheat. But the law can never be cheated. So, when people pretend to be unselfish, definitely in the deepest core, they are still selfish only and they pay the price. Are you able to follow? Quite a few times I have heard Swamiji saying it so beautifully. The true giver will never complain that the taker is there. A true giver will never ever complain the taker is there. I am ready to give, but nobody should. I will keep saying I am ready to give, I am ready to give, I am ready to give. What should the other do? Certify me that I am a giver, that's all. But nobody should come and ask anything from me. The moment that they ask from me, my real nature shows up. Are you able to follow? It means what? In the genuine nature, there is no, in the genuine sense of it, there is no unselfishness. Are you able to follow? The moment you turn into a giver, that's why in Vedanta we say there is no need to give. All that we have to do is take one step back, that's all. You don't actually need to give anything under. All that we have to take one step back and say, I am not your competitor anymore. That is sannyasi. That's why when you take, the sannyasi takes the vow. What is the vow of a sannyasi? I am no more a competitor to anything in the world. Are you able to follow? That's the vow he takes. And he tries to live to that vow. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Very difficult doesn't mean it is impossible either. Are you able to follow? Therefore, the notion that if I am a giver, after you, I will be treaded over, is an atheist. Is an atheist. Atheist is one who says good people suffer, sir. Why? The question that people ask. Good people suffer while bad people flourish. An atheist only has this notion that good people suffer. How can good people suffer? Those who are pretending to be good can suffer. That is possible. Are you able to understand the difference? Those who are appearing to be good, those who are pretending to be good can suffer. But the reality is what? The good can never suffer. Are you able to follow? Last this, the Shastra Pramanam, the authority of the Vedas. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. You want to be protected by the law. If you want to be protected by the law, what you got to do? Obey the law. So, obey the law. If you want protection, simply obey the law. What is the law? After you turning unselfish. Because of the craving and attachment and the possessiveness that I have, giving away makes me feel insecure. I feel insecure if I start giving. Are you able to follow? If I start giving, I start feeling so insecure that immediately I will say, first I will safeguard my interest and then I will give. I will safeguard my interest and then I will give. In the spiritual path, you understand that you are always safeguarded by you are safeguarded by what? You are not safeguarded by your intelligence. You are not safeguarded by that. You are safeguarded by the divine, the dharma. From the bhakti angle, you can say divine. From the angle of emotion, you can say divine. From the angle of intellect, you can say law. Both are one and the same. God equals law. Law equals God. They are not different. Are you able to follow? Therefore, there is never ever a possibility that you can be unselfish and be treaded over by others. It's an impossibility. From various angles, if you see, it isn't. From various angles, you understand, it is an impossibility. Are you okay?
So when you're saying dead rat, is this seeking attention and exclusivity, which I have a value, the other person also has got the same value. So is this the dead rat?
Yes. What is dead rat? Dead rat is that which you have so much of value for. Dead rat means that which you have value for and you believe you cannot be without it. Dead rat means that which you have a tremendous value. What is tremendous value? அது இல்லைன்னா என்னால வாழவே முடியாது. அது இருந்தா இல்லைன்னா என்னால வாழ முடியாதுன்றதுதான் dead rat. Are you able to follow? That is difficult to drop. That is difficult to drop. And when we say I cannot live without it, it will be always something material that I'll be referring to. Maybe a person, maybe an object, maybe some wealth, maybe something of the gross that I will be saying I can't live without it. Dharma இல்லாம என்னால இருக்கவே முடியாதுன்னு சொன்னா that person will have no problem. If the person can say, no, I cannot live without dharma, that person will have absolutely no problem. But the human mind is always associated with something of this. Are you able to follow? That is the dead rat. Okay? Yes. Do we have anything else?
Yes. One by Mala.
Yes, போடுங்க. நீ இப்படியே டைம் பாஸ் பண்ணிடலாம். Mala, namaste, sir. Could you please explain the meaning of after you? You said it is about saying I am not in competition with you. Therefore, try to do what you believe is correct with respect to Shastras and not try to improve with respect to the other person. Is my understanding correct, sir? I didn't understand anything of what she's saying. Therefore, the answer is you are correct. Is my understanding correct? The first answer that you should give is what? Yes, you are right in solid. Discussion is over after. So what is he saying? After you, I am not in competition with you. After you means I am not competing with you. That's what after you means. Isn't it? There is a small space in the road. People are competing. After you means what? There is a very small space in the road where one person is trying to get in, and you are also trying to get in. See, sometimes it happens, no? Everybody can see the fellow is trying to reverse. And you will see that fellow will be stuck in the middle of the road, isn't it? Because vehicles move on both sides now. How he will try, how he can reverse? He will be stuck right in the middle because front la or 10 motorcycle, pinadi or 20 motorcycle. Now, how that fellow will even move? Are you able to follow? Now, what is after you here means? There is the small space, you move. Are you able to follow? After you means what? I am not competing with you is what is meant by after you. Are you able to understand that? When I say after you, you are simply making a statement. You are simply telling the other what? I am not in competition. Now, please understand this. This is not about telling this to anybody. You are not going and telling this to anybody is after you. It is the maturity, it is an understanding that you develop inside of yourself. Carefully follow. Mala. This is not about going and telling somebody that after you. It's not about verbalizing. It is about an inner existence. It's about an inner maturity where you take a stance. What is the stance that you take? I am not in competition with anybody. You means anybody. Because I have understood what am I competing for? If I am competing for anything in the world, it is mithyam, it is temporary. Even before I can get it, it will become somebody else's. Mithyatvam in relation to the world is what? The moment I get it, very soon what I have will become somebody else, which cannot be avoided. Therefore, no competition from that angle. Second is what? Competition means I am dependent on the mithya. I am dependent on something outside. That's why I am so craving for it. When I understand that my support comes from dharma, my support comes from divine, can there be any competition in following dharma with anybody? Will anybody compete with you for following dharma? You are all free there. You are so relieved there. You are so comfortable there. You can do it all by yourself. Anga competition irukadu. Adharma pannanumna da there will be lot of competition. The moment you say I want to do dharma, nobody will be there, isn't it? That's why Swamiji says, don't complain that people are not allowing you to study adudala. Kartal 5 maniki anda nobody is going to wake up at 5 o'clock. Forget 4 o'clock. Nobody is going to wake up at 5 o'clock. So that you will have all the time to yourself. Where are people competing? If you get up at 10 o'clock, everybody gets up at 10 o'clock, there is competition. Are you able to follow? So, where competition will come? Only in relation to adharma. Will anybody compete with you for anushtana? Anushtana means the prescribed practices that you have to do, morning, noon, and night. There are prescribed practices. Will anybody compete with you for your Anushtanam? He will say, no, I will do it before you. Will anybody say that? Huh? For Dharma, nobody will compete with you. For Anushtana, nobody will compete with you. Then where does competition come? Treading over comes. Indulgence, materialism, sensuality. Exclusivity. Are you able to follow? In these areas, nobody is ever going to compete with you, isn't it? Oh, you are doing Sahasranama once, I will do Sahasranama twice, and after you should say, isn't it? ஒரு வாட்டி சொன்னாலே throat pain ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு, isn't it? You say once you have throat pain for 1 year, where is the competition? Are you able to follow? I always used to think, where is the... See, even when people rush to see the deity in the temple, it is not devotion to see the deity, wanting to quickly finish and get out. Are you able to follow? Even when people rush, it's not, it is not that they want to go and enjoy the darshan and be in that darshan. It is quickly to, முடிச்சிட்டு சீக்கிரம் வெளில வந்துடணும். Because return ticket is booked, train is waiting, bus is waiting, so many important things are pending. இல்லையா? இதுல டிவைன்கெல்லாம் ஆஃப்டர் யூலாம் சொல்லின்னு இருக்கக்கூடாது, isn't it? So wonderful. You go in Tirupati Balaji, you just stand apart a little bit and say, after you. The fellow will pull you into one corner and you can have extra 2 minutes darshan. You know that? Many times I have experienced it. All that you have to do is what? Some fellow, some kaki fellow will just drag you to one corner. And then they will tell you softly, Pathingla, they will ask you, go. Where is all that you have to do? But then everybody is rushing. Rushing for what? Rushing to get out. So, wherever you can say after you, competition can never be for the divine. Competition can always be only for the mithya, temporary, materialism, sensuality. Therefore, Mala's question, is my understanding correct? Answer is yes, you are. Mala, for a change, you are correct also sometimes. Mostly you are wrong only. Sometimes, rarely, you are correct. Because see, verbatim quoted the class. I realize she is correct. Otherwise, we will never agree that somebody is right. Mala, you are right. Is there any other clarification? With this, we conclude for today. Next week, we'll continue from God is still waiting for us. Arjuna said, if you think it is possible to show, he said, previous class. Mega serial break next week, isn't it? Next week, Lord is still waiting. We can't make him wait, or can we make him wait? Sir, 9 o'clock, sir, let God wait. Isn't it? Where is the problem? Time up, isn't it? For us, because timing is more important, isn't it? Venkat, rules are that. Yeah, timing is very important, sir. So let us make God wait for one more. Let us make God wait for one more week. And we'll continue from verse number 5 onwards in the next session. With this, we conclude for today.